everyone for being here. I get excited every time the black velvet curtain comes out and covers something in this corridor. We're delighted that we have another new display. Thank you so much to Matthew for supporting Shane and Stephen on their project for the past 4 weeks, but I'm just going to hand it over to you to unveil and talk us through what you've done.
Okay, yeah, so this is our project with Tayside Medical History Museum. We did a history of animals in medicine, so we didn't entirely stick to the Tayside Medical History Museum. Matthew told us we could use objects from other museum collections, including the Zoology Museum. We kind of jumped at that opportunity. So basically, we've created a poster, a display cabinet, and an online Microsoft Sway module to just talk you through kind of the history of animals in medicine for anatomy. Oh, hello.
Sorry.
Just wondering. So animals in context of anatomy, of physiology, study of disease, embryology, all sorts of things like that. Steve, you want to talk a bit about why we chose it?
Yeah, so originally we kind of came up with about 10 ideas that we split down to 5, and then we got Matthew's help to kind of lower it down to 2. But we kind of wanted something that caught everybody's eye and was a bit more, because it's in quite an awkward place, so you have to kind of catch people when they're walking past if you want people to see it. We have put maps up so people can find it, hopefully. But yeah, so we decided that like animals is kind of something that everybody kind of has some sort of interest, whether it's just it's quite cool to see or you're around them quite a lot. So it's kind of following like the animals that were actually used in medicine, that were used in research, and kind of products from them that are used in medicine. So yeah, so I think we may as well done with the waiting.
I think it's time for the grand reveal. Okay.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. Okay, so if you want, we will talk you through a couple of the objects. We won't go through all of them because we'll be here for a very long time. I'll start with front and centre, the chimp skull, probably the most eye-catching part of the display. We decided to include this because primates, including chimps, have been heavily involved in medical research and a lot of important discoveries. Chimps were involved in the discovery of the Hep B vaccine, the discovery of hepatitis C as an actual pathogen, and chimps and macaques were also very heavily involved in the development of the polio vaccine. I thought that lift was going to open again. In addition to that, there's also a lot of studies in smaller monkeys like macaques in terms of behaviour. You might have come across the Harlow experiment where they took orphaned monkeys and experimented with their behaviours in regards to their balance of preference for sustenance and comfort. So there's a lot of very important studies in primates that have led to the advancement of medicine to where it is today.
And I will speak, the first one I'll speak about is leeches. So leeches have been used in medicine from like ancient civilizations and stuff. They took a bit of an increase in usage during the medieval times, where medieval medicine was more, they believed in humours, so it was blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm, which leeches were used to treat issues of like too much blood, as they would have said. But leeches are still used today in medicine. Primarily they're used in kind of like plastic surgeries or like microsurgery, where if the swelling could be too much, and if it was for example, if you lost a finger and they were trying to sew a finger back on, they'd put a leech on it to stop the swelling from closing off all the small blood vessels. So I thought that was quite an interesting fact that we've seen about that.
So another one I want to talk about, I was very chuffed to discover this one's from the actual Medical History Museum rather than the Zoology Museum, is this little jar here. This jar contains what's referred to as spermaceti, which is basically the wax from inside the head of a sperm whale. Now I particularly like this because it's quite relevant to Dundee, because of Dundee's massive whaling industry historically. But what spermaceti would be used for in a medical context was kind of as a topical treatment for basically any skin problem you can think of. So how effective it was is questionable, but essentially it's heated up into a liquid form, which it would normally be in the whale's head because of the core temperature of the whale, and they would be applied to rashes or injuries, any sites of inflammation, anything like that. It was also occasionally used as a bit of a lubricant and as an emollient as well, so it had a lot of applications in dermatology. And yeah, I'm just quite chuffed to find that because it's a very weird and very niche thing. So.
And the last thing I'll speak about here is the sutures we've got there. So in there we have 3 vials of catgut. The big tub there is horsehair, and then we've got a thing of kangaroo tendon. So like catgut, I kind of thought for most of the project that catgut was actually cut from cats. It's not, it's the intestinal lining of cows, sheep and goats, which is not much better, but then the horsehair is kind of a bit more of a fragile sort of, it works well, but the intestines get a little bit more pull to it. And then they didn't actually start using nylon sutures till 1951. So the sutures that we kind of know today, that's when 1951 was when they started to come into fashion.
So, before we go on to questions, shall we just talk through the stuff on the wall? So, first of all, we've got the poster here. So this kind of just runs through a general overview. We try to do it in a timeline kind of way, but there's a lot of stuff that still overlaps with modern medicine as too, so it's not entirely a straight line. But this gives some of the key landmark discoveries all the way from 300 BCE up to 2022. And then we've just got sections on comparative anatomy, ethics of the animal testing, and animal models in research for pathologies. And then we also have our little QR code here, which, if you scan that, thoroughly recommend you do, that'll take you to our Microsoft Sway, which is basically this, but more. A lot more detail. Information on the historical figures involved, information on each species and its applications, information on ethics, little bits of information on some of the legal aspects too, and then a map to help you find this display. It also contains a couple of videos we took in the Darcy Thompson Zoology Museum. So, without further ado, anyone got any questions?
Let's do a round of applause for Any questions?
I want to know what the snake is.
Oh.
Why is that in there?
So, pit vipers. Well, snakes are quite important to our general understanding of physiology anyway, because it comes out of trying to treat the effects of snake venoms and working out how those have taken effect. We chose this one specifically because this is a pit viper, and pit vipers are the source from which captopril is derived. So, yeah, pretty common drug. So I figured it would be worth finding one, and I was very chuffed to find they actually had pit vipers specifically, otherwise we'd have put a random snake. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Did you enjoy it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It was really interesting. It's a shame though, because there's a lot of big, massive things that you're like, oh, I want to put that in it, but it's only so much space.
If we'd had that one, we would have gone mad.
We get carried away quite a lot, like, especially in the first 2 weeks. We would start going down a bit of a rabbit hole, and then we'd be there for ages finding more information, and then you have to kind of stop yourself and be like, no, you've only got 4 weeks. Sorry.
So obviously one of the themes that you look at quite a lot is about the sort of ethics of using animals in medicine. Do you maybe just want to say a little bit about that and how that's changed over time?
Yeah, so, I mean, historically, the ethics basically wasn't there initially. There was obviously a lot of resistance throughout history to the cruelty with which animals were treated. We actually have 2 pictures of vivisection, which is live conscious dissection of an animal while it's still moving. This is why you don't present to the coroner. So that was a massive thing up till the 1800s. There was a lot of resistance to it in Britain, particularly from figures like Queen Victoria. But then there were also some particularly horrific instances in Europe with guys like Francois Magendie doing a lot of live dissections for the purposes of education, which, you know, very, very unnecessary. But yeah, and then in the 1900s we've had more gradual developments and improvements in the ethics and law around it. There's introduction of the 3 R's, which is replacement, refinement and reduction into scientific studies. So the idea that you replace animals where possible, you refine any experimental techniques so it doesn't affect animals, and reduce the number of animals in experiments. And that's gradually been worked more into the legal requirements of scientific studies. So yeah. So we've moved in a more ethical direction, but there's still a lot of contentious stuff going on with animal studies, which hopefully regulation will be adjusted for accordingly over time.
Any other questions?
Anyone around the corner with questions. Good Lord. Come and look at the posters.
Yes, I think we should give everyone a chance to come and have a good look at it. And I should just say that you genuinely should all scan the QR code and go to the website, because Shane and Stephen have put a huge amount of effort and there's an enormous amount of stuff on there, so it's really, really impressive.
You may need to take several attempts.
Recommend that you all have a good look at it.
We'll give everyone a bit of time while we're up here to file on through and have a wee look. And then I'm sure you'll be happy to answer questions as people see it as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Brilliant. I actually have one story about maggots.